Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another X12Cast, and it's a big one today. We're talking NFL, and in particular, we are talking the NFL Draft. It is less than a week away. Originally scheduled to be held in Las Vegas, the big pomp and ceremony of the players coming out, taking their jersey, shaking the hand of Commissioner Roger Goodell, who gets booed to the rafters as he announces each pick. That's no longer happening. The picks will be announced from Roger Goodell's basement, live via Skype or some similar media. All the teams will be phoning everything in. It's going to be an entirely virtual NFL draft, with all team facilities closed due to the ongoing crisis. So what is the NFL draft for those new to the NFL, those looking to get into it for this season or beyond, or those who are fairly new to the game, maybe saw the Super Bowl last time out and want to get into the game? Well, the NFL Draft is where teams select players from college football. Effectively, during their time at university, players, often coming in on athletic scholarships, will play 3 or 4 years of college football free of charge, in inverted commas, with a hope to become the next big thing in the NFL, the hope to have their name called on day one in the NFL Draft. The NFL Draft is split into 7 rounds with roughly 32 picks in each round. As the later rounds come ahead, there are things called compensatory picks based on talent that your team has produced that has been signed by other teams in free agency. That's a little too complex for today's video. We'll maybe get into the intricacies of compensatory picks later on. Of course, a very, very famous compensatory pick has been a big talk of NFL headlines this season. That was pick number 199 in the 2000 NFL Draft, and that was, of course, Tom Brady. He has moved from the New England Patriots via free agency to join the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He's got himself a few weapons this season, but how will he perform without Coach Bill Belichick by his side? That's another story. Talking today, it's the NFL Draft. It's less than a week away, as I've already said. How does the draft work? The worst team in last year's NFL gets the first pick. That's how it works in theory. The Bengals were the worst team last year. They've got the first pick. There are a few exceptions with trades already made. You can trade your draft picks for existing players in the NFL if you deem the need to. So that's why there are teams like the Miami Dolphins who have 3 picks in this year's first round draft. Let's get straight into it. The NFL Draft is a chance to sign young players from a variety of positions. Teams tend to take either the best player available or the best player in a position of need. So first on the clock is the Cincinnati Bengals, and I think every man and his dog has got at number 1 in their mock draft Joe Burrow, the quarterback, the Heisman Trophy winner and national champion. Bengals, they've had an up and down time with Andy Dalton at the helm, the ginger gunslinger. I don't think he stays. I think the Bengals have a lot of needs, but you cannot pass on a franchise quarterback to be under lockdown for 4 years with your team on a very small cap hit. So the Bengals go Joe Burrow and start to build for the future right here. The Washington Redskins pick at number 2. I believe they're a team who could also use a quarterback. I'm not sold on Dwayne Haskins being the future of the Redskins under center, but I don't think they take a quarterback here. I think they take the best player in the draft, and that is edge rusher Chase Young. This guy is phenomenal. He's such an athlete. He's so powerful coming off his blocks. He is the best player in this draft for me, and I think you're going to see the instant impact like we've seen from a Joey Bosa the talent of a JJ Watt. I think that's exactly who this player is, and that's what we're going to see. Picking at 3 is the Detroit Lions. They, being coached by Matt Patricia, the former New England Patriots defensive coordinator, he's basically tried to build his defense by picking up Patriots offcuts. I think he builds the defense using a first-round pick and takes Jeff Okudah, the best cornerback in the draft, to replace Darius Slay, who they lost in the offseason. Up next, the New York Giants at 4. I think they take O-line here. I think they need to protect Daniel Jones. He showed flashes of what they expect him to be at the back end of last season when he came in to replace Eli Manning. I think they take Mekhi Becton, a huge, powerful behemoth of an offensive tackle. I think they take him to help protect Daniel Jones. He can plug in and play straight away, and I think they will bring him up and nurture him with Nate Solder to train him up to be the future left tackle. Pick number 5, the Miami Dolphins. During last season, there was a hashtag, Tank for Tua, where the Miami Dolphins fans basically said the team should just lose all their games so that they could take Tua Tagovailoa in this draft. He was predicted to be the number 1. He was the consensus number 1 pick until a very serious injury ended his final pro season. I don't think the injury concerns overweigh the talent here, so the Miami Dolphins at pick number 5 takes Tua Tagovailoa. Picking 6, the Los Angeles Chargers. It'd be very easy to go quarterback here after the Chargers have lost Phillip Rivers, but I think they take Jedrick Willis. They need offensive line strength to protect Tyrod Taylor, who looks to be the stopgap. I think they get a season or 2 out of Tyrod Taylor. They've got a lot of talent on that team, really. If you think about it, they've got a strong defense and some weapons available for Tyrod Taylor at offense. I think they've obviously got some trust that Tyrod Taylor can fit their offense. So I think at this point they take an offensive lineman to really build something around. The Panthers pick at 7, and I think they have to go Isaiah Simmons. They've just lost Luke Kuechly, a surprise retirement, so I think you replace him with a complete field general in Isaiah Simmons. The Cardinals pick at 8. They had the worst defense in the league last year based on yardage, so I think they are going to look to bring in a big, disruptive front man in the name of Derek Brown. He's a defensive tackle. And I think the Jags at 9 follow suit. I think they bring in Javon Kinlaw, a defensive tackle. They need to rebuild their defensive line. They've lost most of it. If you think of the big names they had, Yannick Ngakoue is probably going to be moving on. Calais Campbell's already moved on. They've always been known for a defensive line, and they've lost that. So I think they try and rebuild that right here. The Browns. What do they do with their pick? They take Tristan Wirfs, offensive tackle. I think you need to protect Baker Mayfield. You've drafted him to be your franchise quarterback. Yes, he's got this bit of a maverick reputation. Play off that. But he needs to be able to stay on his feet, to be able to throw the ball to Jarvis Landry and Odell Beckham Jr. There's a lot of money invested in this offense. They have a short window to win because the defense is fueled by players on rookie contracts. So they need to win while they can. The New York Jets up next, and I think they go with wide receiver. I think they take Jerry Jeudy. He's a field stretcher. He's somebody who can burst down the outside. A weapon, a much needed weapon for Sam Darnold. Darnold has shown all the potential to be a franchise quarterback, but the Jets haven't put the pieces around him that he needs. So I think they go out here and get him a true number 1 receiver. We keep the trend of wide receivers going. It's the Vegas Raiders next. Get used to saying Las Vegas Raiders. And I think they go with Henry Ruggs III. They also need a wide receiver. Obviously losing Amari Cooper a couple of seasons ago. Then they tried Antonio Brown. That really didn't work. So why not try the other option? Bring a man in the draft. Ruggs is versatile. I think he's a great fit. And I think there's a trifecta at wide receiver, because I think the 49ers, who pick next, I think they take wide receiver as well. They've just lost Deion Sanders. So I think you have CeeDee Lamb. He's a bit of a run-after-catch specialist. I just think that offense becomes even more explosive with the addition of CeeDee Lamb, somebody who will play to maybe the West Coast offense style very, very well. Another much-needed target for Jimmy Garoppolo as he looks to prove his worth this season following the Super Bowl loss. Now then, we move on to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. What do? Obviously, spending a lot of money on Tom Brady. They look to have him for this season, maybe next season as well. You'd expect he wants to win now, and he's not going to accept anything less than a Super Bowl. It's a big off-season for the Buccaneers, and they have to do things right. I think they draft DeAndre Swift, the running back, right here. It's a bit of an early call for a running back. We don't often see running backs go early in the draft, and he is the only running back that I have going in this first round. I think they take him because they are short at running back. Ronald Jones looks to be the proverbial starter, but DeAndre Swift is excellent in the backfield as a pass catcher. He's excellent in the screen game, and that's what Brady's thrived off. Look at Dion Lewis, look at James White, the players that Brady's had in there that's really complemented his style. He's got the field stretches with the likes of Goodwin, with the likes of Evans, but he needs somebody who we can rely on as a check down option. I think DeAndre Swift is that man. I think they take running back here. Up next, I have a trade. We're going big in this mock draft. We are not holding anything back. I think the Miami Dolphins trade up 3 spots with the Denver Broncos, and I think they take Andrew Thomas. It's a big move to trade up. They'll probably have to give up some capital later on in the draft, or maybe a future along with their pick, even though they are only moving up 3 spots. But they've invested heavily in bringing in Tua Tagovailoa, so why not bring in an offensive tackle just to help bolster their offensive line and keep him on his feet? You don't want a rookie quarterback being knocked around all the place, having his confidence knocked. You want him to have time in the pocket, and you bring in a big man like Andrew Thomas, a really talented offensive tackle who will fit in, fill in the gap left by the moving Laramie Tunsil, and then just really be able to build a strong pocket for Tua Tagovailoa. Atlanta Falcons up next. I think they go defensive back, CJ Henderson. He is the man I'm taking here. He probably would have been expected to go early. I just didn't really see any team needing defensive back over the top of any of the players that they've taken. So the Falcons address a huge need here, bringing in a cornerback. The Cowboys are up next, and I see them taking Clavin Chasen, the edge / outside linebacker. He's very versatile, which is great for the Cowboys. They need to improve their front seven. They've lost Robert Quinn. I'm not saying he's going to replace him directly, but I think he's definitely going to add a lot to that front seven. So now we've got the Broncos picking after they traded with the Dolphins. Patrick Queen, the linebacker, is who I think they need most. There was a potential for the Broncos to trade down again, but I think really you've got to use your first round picks when you've got them. They need a linebacker, so why not take the best available at Patrick Queen? And they've added some value by picking up a later pick by already trading with the Miami Dolphins. Up next is those Las Vegas Raiders again. I think they go cornerback. I think they go Jeff Gladney. He might not be, in most people's view, the second best cornerback in the draft, but I think he's the best fit for the Raiders. Gruden loves a bit of flashiness in his defense, and this guy's a true ball hawk. He's a true game changer at defensive back. Look for him to really transform the Raiders secondary. Jacksonville up next. The Jaguars picking again. They went with Jamon Kinley early on at defensive tackle. I think they go AJ Espinosa at edge here. It's front seven. As I mentioned before, the players that they lost, they need to replace, and they do it right here, picking the extremely talented AJ Espinosa. Eagles up next. Carson Wentz needs a wide receiver who can catch the ball. So it's very important that, unlike Nelson Aguilar, the Eagles don't drop the ball here. Take Justin Jefferson at wide receiver, a true number one. The Vikings are up next, and I think they take Kristen Fuller, the cornerback. They need to improve at defensive back, and I can't see them taking Stephon Diggs' brother, so it's Kristen Fuller for me. The Patriots are up next. A lot of people have got the Patriots taking a quarterback in the first round. I can't see it. I've still got Herbert and Love available, and I still can't see it. I think what the Patriots need to do is rebuild their front seven. They lost Kyle Van Noy. They've lost a few other pieces up front. I think that dominant defense from last year, as much as they are crying out for some offensive weapons, that dominant defense is what got them to the playoffs. They need to keep that if they want to continue their AFC East dominance, even without Brady. So I think they go with Kenneth Murray, the inside linebacker. He adds versatility. They love versatility in New England. He could play anywhere across the linebacking three that the Patriots normally enforce. Chargers pick again, and I think the Chargers trade in with the Saints. I think they trade up. I think maybe some future capital, maybe some later draft capital. I think they trade up. The Saints, I mean, look at that Saints team. They've kept everyone around, barring Teddy Bridgewater, but that being said, you've now got a healthy Drew Brees. The Saints don't need anybody. The Saints could go QB here, but they've already got Taysom Hill, who I think they're committing to as a long-term quarterback. So I see the Chargers trading up and taking quarterback, fearing that the Saints could do just that, and they take Justin Herbert. I think he has fallen, but again, I'm not sure where he would go above the players that have been taken. So he's fallen right into the hands of the Chargers, who will have to pay a lot to get there, but I think they have to do that to take their future franchise QB at a smaller price and less pressure on him. The Vikings are up next with another first round pick, and I think they go with Zach Bourne, the edge / outside linebacker. He is great against the run, and he's not bad against the pass. He's going to be a piece that will really help this defense. The Vikings defense often known for its great pass rush, the likes of Everson Griffin, Danielle Hunter, players like that. I think Zach Bourne's going to fit in very well in their defensive scheme. Dolphins with their third pick, and I think they take Yetur Gross-Mails. He is an edge rusher, and I think they need to look at defense with this third pick. They've already taken the quarterback of the future. They've taken their O-line staple for the future, and now they boost their defense. There's a reason why the Miami Dolphins struggled so much last season. It's because they were bad on both sides of the ball. Get a man who can potentially add some sack numbers to a very weak defensive unit. The Seahawks are up next, and I have them taking Josh Jones. Russell Wilson was at near MVP level last year, so I think they protect him with an offensive lineman. I've got the Ravens going offensive line as well. They take Cesar Ruiz, who is a guard. He has a great blend of power and speed, which is very unique for an interior offensive lineman, and I think he's a great fit for their very dynamic, almost college-style offense. I think he'll fit in very, very well. The Titans go cornerback. At 29, they take Trevon Diggs, the brother of Stephon Diggs, and he replaces Logan Ryan, who's out in the free agent market at the moment. A good piece for Mike Vrabel's defense. I have the Packers taking T. Higgins, the wide receiver. I think Aaron Rodgers needs a few more weapons at his disposal. There is the potential to go tight end here. I'm just not sure about any tight ends really being a first-round talent. I think T. Higgins is a first-round talent, and I think they take him, put their faith in him alongside Devontae Adams, and really give Rodgers a few weapons. The 49ers, their second pick of the 2020 NFL Draft, first round, is Ross Blacklock. I think he is the perfect DeForest Buckner replacement. It's a very traditional 49ers move to take a proper front four defensive lineman, and they do it again. Why not? Ross Blacklock to replace DeForest Buckner it just makes perfect sense to continue the dominance of a defense that took them to a Super Bowl last season. Talking of the Super Bowl, it's the Super Bowl champs to finish off. Pick 32, AJ Terrell, the cornerback, joins the Chiefs. That's what I'm thinking. They've only really lost one or two players from the teams that have won the Super Bowl last season, so one of those players is Kendall Fuller. Why not replace him? They've only got Rashad Breeland through 2020 as well, so I think you take a defensive back right here at this spot. And that completes the first round. What are your thoughts? Who do you want your team to take in the first round? What do you think to the trades that I've predicted? Do you agree with my top 10? Do you agree with my top 5? I've thrown a few curveballs in there. There's a few players who have missed out. A few players who have dropped as well. So, what do you think? I'll probably get called out for having Xavier McKinney, the safety, and drop out of the first round entirely. I just couldn't see any teams whose need at safety was strong enough to go first round over the players they've taken. We may get round there in less than a week's time, and I may be completely wrong with most of these picks. It wouldn't surprise me. Mock drafts usually are, but it's a fun way of just really looking in depth at each team and what they need. Either way, what are these draft picks going to mean? We may not have an NFL season. News coming out that there may be a shortened season. It's more than likely all going to be behind closed doors, but either way, the NFL are pressing on with their off seasons. We're going to see the players get drafted. They're going to sign up with their new teams. So leave a like on the video, subscribe if you enjoy this content. This is one of my X12Casts. Check out the rest of the season. There'll be more NFL content coming before too long. Again, comment who you support, comment who you want your team to take. Leave some feedback on these picks that I've predicted. Let's get some discussion going. The NFL draft, of course, rolls around next week, and I look forward to talking to you about it then. Thank you. Goodbye.